Welcome to the men's version of NCAA men's basketball preview show. As I said in the women's version, the men's side of Oklahoma, again, just like last year, finished second. This time, instead of 2 games back, 1 game back from the Rock Chalk Jayhawks. Senior night, kind of putting a staple on that one for the Sooners, helping them finish second in the league, which is a pretty strong league on at least our side, the men's side, with, I believe, 7 teams being invited to the NCAA tournament. 5 of the 7, Kansas, Oklahoma, Iowa State, West Virginia, those few teams were all ranked at some time in the season. Actually, all 6 of them were ranked. 5 of them were pretty low. 5 of them, Oklahoma State, the only difference. That one came in kind of late, but they were all ranked. Texas was very early. But at the end of it all, those 4 were all ranked at some time in the season. All of them ranked in the top 20, maybe even the top 15. I'm pretty sure in the top 20. Top 15, I'm almost sure. So the top 15 teams in the nation. Oklahoma, Kansas, West Virginia, Iowa State, those teams like that. Pretty good for the top-notch team. Oklahoma, the second of those, earning them a 3rd seed overall in the big-time NCAA tournament, where they faced a couple of double-digit seeds, like number 14, Albany, the Great Danes. They were a 14th ranked, and basically in their own backyard in Columbus, number 11, Dayton Flyers, out of the Atlantic League, the 11th seed, for beating them on their own court. Oklahoma got a Sweet 16 invite, flew out to New York, where they faced the Is. You've heard of the Oz, right? Well, this is the Is. Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo can go to the Final Four almost every year. He at least has his team in the Sweet 16 this year, or at least in the Elite 8, because they did end up knocking out Oklahoma in a highly fought ball game. That is back-to-back Elite 8 years for Michigan State. Preview coming up next. For the OU men's basketball show is right here, only on Boomer Sooner 1982. We'll start with 3rd-seeded Oklahoma. They are our team that we love to cover. They are, of course, out of the Big 12. Last year, finishing 23-10, 12-6 in Big 12 league play. Eventually losing to North Dakota State, 80-75 in the second round of the NCAAs. Their head coach is Lon Kruger out of Kansas State. In 1974 is when he graduated from Kansas State. He has also been at Texas Pan American. As we said, Kansas State, his alma mater, before heading to Florida, Illinois, UNLV, and is now at Oklahoma. Leading returning scorers for the Oklahoma Sooners, number 24, Buddy Hield, and number 11, Isaiah Cousins. Buddy Hield averaged 16.51 points per ball game last year, while averaging 4.42 rebounds per ball game and 1.88 assists per ball game last year for Oklahoma. Another leading returning scorer for Oklahoma, number 11, Isaiah Cousins, who averaged 11.03 points per ball game last year, while averaging 12.24 rebounds per ball game and 2.12 assists per ball game last year for the Oklahoma Sooners. In the second round of the NCAA tournament, they ended up facing number 14th seeded Albany Great Danes from the American East Conference. Last year in the American East Conference, they won 19 games and lost 15 games, combined 19 for 15, 9-7 in the American East League, lost to North Florida 67-55 in the third round of the NCAA tournament. Their head coach is Will Brown, graduate of Dowling University in 1995, has also been the head coach of Sullivan County Community College and then is now at Albany. Leading returning scorers for the Great Danes, number 24, Peter Hooley, and number 4, Sam Rowley. 12, Peter Hooley first. Hooley averaged 15.52 points per ball game, while averaging 2.70 rebounds per ball game and 2.64 assists per ball game last year for the Danes. While the top dog for the Great Danes last year was Peter Hooley. Another significant member of that team, Sam Rowley. Rowley averaged 11.15 points per ball game last year, while averaging 6.88 rebounds per ball game and 1.79 assists per ball game last year for the Great Danes. Oklahoma have been in the third round of the NCAA tournament. A round before you play in the Sweet 16, they would have to face a team that hadn't lost a home game. They hadn't even lost in Ohio this year. Last year, though, the Great Danes of the Dayton Flyers, the 11th seeded Dayton Flyers, went 26-11, 10-6 in Atlantic 10 play. Ended up losing to Florida in the Elite 8, 62-52. Their head coach is Archie Miller. He's been at Dayton since 2011 and is a 2003 grad from NC State. Returning leading scorers for the Dayton Flyers, number 30, Dayton Rogers, and number 24, John Siebert. Number 30, Rogers averaged 16.7 points per ball game last year for the Flyers, while averaging 7.20 rebounds per ball game and 1.50 assists per ball game last year for the Flyers. While number 4, John Siebert averaged 12.19 points per ball game, while averaging 2.27 rebounds per ball game and 1.49 assists per ball game last year for the Flyers. Then the Sooners would fly, no pun intended, to New York, actually Syracuse, New York, the University of Syracuse, where they would face Michigan State for the right to go to the Elite 8. To get there, though, they'd have to beat another team that had been to the Elite 8 last year. They just faced one in Dayton Flyers, number 11th seed. Now they would have to face the 7th seed, Michigan State Spartans. Sparty out of the Big Ten. Last year, Sparty went 29-9, 12-6 in league play in the Big Ten. Lost to the University of Connecticut, 60-54 in the Elite 8. Their head coach is Tom Izzo. From 1995 to present, he's been the head coach, and has also been the head coach at Northern Michigan. and went to Northern Michigan, where he graduated from there. Leading returning scorers for Michigan State Spartans, the Sparties, number 5, Brian Forbes, and number 22, Brian Dawson. Number 5, Brian Dorbs, averaged last year 15.56 points per ball game last year, while averaging 3.09 rebounds per ball game and 1.69 assists per ball game last year, but not from Michigan State, though, because he transferred in from Cleveland State. So he, like Tayshaun Thomas, got an automatic transfer, and he's from Cleveland State. Though for Michigan State, they don't have a bad player returning in their own right. Number 22, Brandon Dawson. Brandon Dawson last year averaged 11.21 points per ball game, 8.32 rebounds per ball game, and 1.64 assists per ball game last year for Michigan State and the Spartans. Not a bad year to go to the Sweet 16 and to actually have a 10-point lead in the Sweet 16 to help you move on to the Elite Eight. That does not happen for the University of Oklahoma, but still a solid year for the Kruginator at Oklahoma. Hopefully, we'll be able to move past the Michigan State bug, and next year, at least we know Lon will be there. Speaking of that, real quick, Rick Barnes out of Texas. We're sitting here a year ago today. The Big 12 Coach of the Year was Lon Kruger or Rick Barnes, one of the two. I think it was Lon Kruger because basically we beat them in Austin and we beat them in Norman. But last year, Rick Barnes was also Coach of the Year. Now he's not the coach of anything. He's out. He's been removed from his duties at Texas. I feel so bad for this guy. This guy's a good, solid coach. He will end up somewhere, I promise you. He's a hard worker. He's a good recruiter. He's a good coach. And I just hope Texas knows what they're doing. This is a good, solid guy that they have let go. I'm not technically going to say they fired him. I know that some people are. I don't like that F word. I think that F word is just like the other F word that you don't need to be saying on here. Because you don't know the insides and the outsides. You don't know. And until you know, personally, it sounds bad to say you were fired. It just doesn't mix well. It doesn't match well with me. But he, however the case may be, he will not be at Texas when Oklahoma and Texas play in Austin or in Norman next year. With that being said, I'm done with that. I do not think that should have happened. I think he's a good coach. I think he'll land somewhere. With that being said, that's the end of my rant. Thanks for watching, everybody. Find me on Facebook or tweet me at SoonerFanOK. Facebook's Harry James Taylor. Thanks for watching, everybody. And as always, keep the Sooner magic alive, baby. Remember, football season's just a couple months away. Boomer Sooner!